Hi, it's Ray Mills, your VBA craftsman. Today I want to show you a better combo box that uses a little bit of machine learning to produce a better product that is a little slicker for the user, a better user experience. So let's get started. First, we need to build a combo box. Well, I've done that already just because I would hope that you know how to do that. So this is simple. It's raised trucking, 50, 60 years of reliability. Now, when the average user, when the average coder develops the combo box, he's gonna give you the list and do add items for all these, and boom, you have a combo box with 50 items. Well, 50 items is pretty clunky because what if one of these items is used 90% of the time? You kind of want it on the top, right? So the user doesn't have to go racing through it. Now, this works fine, but it isn't the best approach, and we'll discuss that a little bit more. Now, I should say from the start, I probably would have done this with an Access background because it's so much faster and I could sort it 100 ways and do it much faster and quicker than doing it in Excel, right? We take advantage of, a relational database. But at any rate, in this case, I've done it with all the data in front of us on this data sheet so that you can see what happens. Okay, so the first thing that happens if someone chooses in this case, it's Ray Mills. That's me over here, one of the dispatches. I was going to say, so they have 50, I should go on to first say, they have 50 different warehouses, okay? And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different dispatches. Now, dispatches specialize in certain warehouses. However, dispatches also have to cover for each other. So, you might say, well, Ray Mills, just give them the so his list isn't so long. Just give him the warehouses that applied to him. Well, they all applied to him because Ray might be backing up Bill, who covers a bunch of others. So they all need access. All dispatchers need access to all the different warehouses. So the first thing I want to show you is, okay, we've given the user and the user this list of 50. Now let's just say you wanted to change it. Now, so I've taken the time to write the code. You just hit here. And you can add a new item, you can remove an item, you can edit. Let me just demonstrate on one. Okay. Let me just spell it right. Garnet Valley is where I live in Pennsylvania. Okay. Now you'll see Garnet Valley is in here, H-I-J, right? So it's not here. So we'll say, okay. Well, Garnet Valley is now here, and you'll see it's now also in our list properly sorted. Okay. Now you'll see Garnet Valley has no one selected yet because it's brand new. Let's just say I do select it, and you'll see that we added one. So every time we select something, we add one too. Oops, come on, Ray. There we go. And now we're at Atlanta Springs. We say select, and you'll see 120. Keep growing, okay? And I would grow here. So the point of this is that, so let's continue with what I was saying. So we talked about this. So alpha may not be the best bet, right? Because that's what I've started out, and that's a logical way to do it. But count might be better, right? So I'm tracking the counts, and you saw as I selected it, as the user comes in and selects it, the counts grow, right? So maybe, if you had a bunch of general users, maybe you just want to give them the highest number of selections, the selections that happen most often, right? Because that means that they won't have to search down the whole row of 50. Now you could use this for a list box as well. So let's do it by count, right? And what I've done here is I've given you, I wouldn't give these normal, but I gave you some check boxes to switch it over just to show you. Now you'll see it's now in in hit order, we'll call it. Hit meaning every time it's been selected, right? So Atlantic, Sandy Springs, and Marietta, Georgia, was chosen 121 times. It's the highest on the list, so it appears first, because that means you're less likely to have to chasing all over. And for the user, that's a better experience, right? They don't chase all over for the data, right? So if you're going down a large list, and I've seen some huge lists in my coding career where it's just ridiculous, right? So in this case, this kind of works, and it's a little better, right? Now, let's take it one step further. Let's just say we want to do it by user, right? So we should know that if you use the application.username, you know who's logged on, you know who's in, right? So what if we took that username to do it by count of how many times they're individual. So like I'm Ray Mills, so this would be mine. The highest probably would be, I think I saw it down here, maybe this 37, which is what? Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? So let's just go by user, and bam, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So the speed that it does this, says that this is a possibility, and we're making it, so this is customized to the user, Ray Mills, and it's automatically finding my counts in order, so that I should get to my, most times I will find the list and the item I want up on top, which makes it faster, expedient, better, just better. Now, we did it for that, but you could also take this data and say, okay, how about I did it for the last 1,000? Now, why won't you do it for the last 1,000 or the last 5,000, or whatever number it is? Meaning the last 5,000 clicks, we analyze those and break them down, just like we saw there. Well, the reason that we would do that is we want if there's changes in what's going on in our business, right? Some warehouses becoming much more active for different users than others. We want to reflect that. So maybe we'd only look at the last 1,000 versus looking at what was going on maybe 2 years ago, which may not make sense. Our demand may be driven by the day of the week, right? Maybe we only ship out a couple of warehouses during the weekend, so maybe we might want to change that to a weekend selection, right? And then finally a seasonal selection. We might look at last year's season and put it in that order that mimics last year, right? That we may find that that's better, right? But the point is that we're using the data that we have, machine learning, for the machine to learn what's the better presentation. There you go. So pretty interesting stuff. Now, all this is made possible by doing a little bit of bubble sorting, right? So I load what I do is I load all this into a variant, right? And then I take that variant and then I run it through a bubble sort, right? And the bubble sort will then list them appropriately. And then first I clear this out, and then I add the items to this. So if I walk it, if I walk you through the code, it might be helpful. Okay. Let me just go. That's not what we want. We want this. Okay. Get in. So when we initialize, we just load the form. That we load that CB, which is ComboBox warehouse. We clear it. Then we add the items, and this is the common add item. You should know what that is, right? All I'm doing checking here is to make sure that there's nothing in this column here, because if there's something here, it means that this is not an active warehouse any longer, and we'll just ignore it, right? So I add that, and I just center it on the form, and then I set it to the first variable, okay? And I make the username invisible for not using user, okay? And I'll just take you through one. So alpha, it's pretty straightforward, right? Just picking it up off the list. Now, account. Okay, I'll just do it for the count. Okay. So all this here is managing the checkboxes, making sure that as you choose something on the checkbox, and do I have this thing loaded? I don't know. Let me see. Let me just hit it. You do know you could do that, right? And then, so when I have it so that if you hit this, nothing happens, right? You have to hit off it to move, meaning that you have to select something that's unselected to move off of it. So there'll never be a situation where nothing is selected, okay? Just a little, show you how that worked. Go back here, and let's go back and say, very quickly, I don't want this video too long. Let's do this one. Okay. All right. What do we have here? We have count click. Count is perfect. Okay. Declare a couple of variables. Turn off application enable events. We want to turn off any events so that way it doesn't kick off any click events on, because I'm managing I'm managing and I'm setting the memories. I said before I've got it set up so you cannot click on one that's already selected and make it unselected. That way you have to select another one. So it's an easy way to manage it. All right, so I use range names, right? So everything starts with the warehouse start. And what's the warehouse start? The range name warehouse start right here. warehouse start, right? And two ranges are important, and user start, right? Because we want to say, if we come along, we find a new user comes, we want to be able to, it should automatically add it here, right? But we go through the user list by going here, here, here to say where we are when we want to look up the specific volume counts for example, me. So it would go across, come back, find this column, and then use that column to populate our bubble sort. Now, the way I do the bubble sort is pretty simple. I go through the list, and I put the value in front of the list and a space. So that if you do a single column bubble sort on that, it will sort on the values, right? And it will sort them into descending order, right, where we want the highest at the top. And the code for the bubble sort, and I'm going to have this on my website, all open. You can have it, improve it, and knock yourself out. Here's my bubble sort. And you can see this is basically saying it uses a temporary file to stick it there until it finds the spot to stick it in. And it's pretty straightforward, right? This is all the code, a simple bubble sort. Okay? And it's, like I said, I called it a variant, but in this case, I'm calling it my array. I pass it along a variant my var. Okay? And then after I pass it to the bubble sort, it comes back. Right? We're using it sort of as, because we're sharing my array, so my array comes back reorganized. And the bubble sort, we can then take my var, which has now been changed, and I can use that to first I clear the warehouse, send it to bubble, clear the combo box, send it to bubble sort. Bubble sort comes back, and then I load the items, and you see the add items, and it's loaded in the correct. All this happens here is count. I make sure that in this case, I'm setting it I'm letting the username be visible, and then I'm saying set the combo box to the first value. Simple enough. So it's actually pretty simple, that portion, using the bubble sort, but the concept gets some really nice results. So it's going to be out on my website, Excel and VBA Craftsman, and I hope you will enjoy it. And sure, make me suggestions if you think of another one that would be useful. And maybe I'll code a few. Thanks.